Greetings and salutations once again. Time for match number 3 in the WWPC Finals. This is Mr. Smith versus TA4Life, Cybern on Cybern Mirror. And the map is the Seraphim Glaciers. It is kind of odd to see the double Cybern on Seraphim Glaciers. Normally you'll have either an Aeon or a Seraphim, or maybe both, or a Mirror Seraphim, because the hover units are very, very useful on this map. But Cybern versus Cybern, we might see some innovative tactics and some things we haven't seen before. Seraphim Glaciers is very huge. Drops are essential. Aggression is essential. Sometimes this map, I've seen it ended with a drop on the enemy's island and a T1 war on the one landmass. And then other times this map can go for, the 45 minutes to an hour range, just depending on how locked up the action gets. So I will try to burn a little bit more of this than I have the other games, just in case it is a long one. Mr. Smith laying down a humongo gargantuan power grid. Looks like he is going to be going strong air. He's leaving his slots open. He has a second land factory going up. There's actually a surprising amount of reclaim on this island. You can see he's picking up the large chunks manually before building the rest of his mass extractors. And then you're going to want to patrol or attack, move some engineers across here just to clean up everything you can. TA4Life already has an air factory up and operational, building his second, getting out early to try and get control of the air. This is so he can try to deny any air transports that are dropping engineers onto the other islands. If you can preempt that, you will be able to slow your opponent down massively, and he is overflowing mass and power. I'm not sure why. All you have to do is start a mass extractor upgrade. There we go. He is building something now worthwhile, and having to spam power to catch up. 2 air factories producing burns so much power. Surprised to see a power stall that bad from a player of this level. It looks like the early air did not help him. Mr. Smith was able to come back later with plenty of power on hand. There you go. And he is running 2 air factories and has taken control of the air. You can also see what I was talking about with this drop. Excuse me. I had to cough there. He has dropped engineers all over these left side islands. He's going to pick up all of that extra eco, and he was able to shoot down TA4Life's transport that was headed over here to drop these islands, and that is going to allow him to drop engineers instead. So this is going to be basically total island control to Mr. Smith. Get the engineers dropped, yes, and then that transport is going to go down. So this is essentially 75% map control in favor of Mr. Smith, as long as he can get his and bomber going to be picked off by TA. As long as he can get his land spam established on the island before TA4Life does, he will actually be able to hold on to that. I have to say, this match, I would probably bet on Mr. Smith, with it being the bigger map that allows for eco and naval play. Mr. Smith is a pretty good player on team games, like the larger team games, say Settons, etc. And this is where he is going to shine, whereas on the smaller maps, I would tend to bet on TA4Life, because if I'm not mistaken, I think he is at least as high as Mr. Smith 1 versus 1 ranking. I may be wrong on that. If I am, someone please inform me, but that is the impression that I have gotten over time. TA4Life has Navy in the water. He has 2 naval factories, both of them building frigates, and he did manage to get his spam up, greatly outnumbering Mr. Smith's production, and that will allow him to sweep Mr. Smith off of his island. Says, I want it back and I want it now. That is my eco, you have no right to it, and I'm going to reclaim all your stuff just to spit in your face. And that is going to help out on map control. He's going to come down here and cap these mass extractors. Not a whole lot Mr. Smith can do about it since he doesn't have any units in the area. Mr. Smith throwing down 4 naval factories, all of them building frigates, except for this one, which I think he forgot to turn on. TA4Life using a horrendous amount of Tech 1 bombers, and we're seeing the normal swing of airplay coming into effect. One person builds way too many bombers and loses air control while the other person is building interceptors, and then he switches to interceptors and the other person is building bombers, and it just kind of swings back and forth. Looks like TA4Life has got the Tech 2 air factory. He's going to start pushing gunships. Those are going to be able to deal a little bit better with the Tech 1 anti-air, but he had some bad targeting priorities there. Cyber frigates have amazing anti-air, so gunships are not going to be nearly as useful against them as they might be against some other navies. Looks like TA4Life has finally secured his island and is also going after this one. He's managed to push Mr. Smith off of his superior map control. It looks like about 60% TA now. And he needs to be building, and he is building some more naval factories. Looks like that is going to be a Tech 2 Navy. Going to go for cruisers first. TA is firmly in control of the air once again. He swapped back up to interceptor production and is mopping the floor with Mr. Smith currently. Although Mr. Smith is producing interceptors like a madman back at home. Once he gets that cruiser online, I'm sure he's going to try and engage over here. And a drop. Many Manti coming in. Going to kill off 2, 3 mass extractors. Point defense going up to try and deny it, but they're going to run right past and back in and lose way more than he probably should have. Mass extractor is going to go down, coming down here to kill this Tech 2 mass extractor. Gunships coming in for Mr. Smith. No! A lot of collapsing going on here. He was able to save that Tech 2 mass extractor, but it looks like he is having a little bit of a hard time holding on to air control despite having that cruiser and all of that production going into interceptors. And that was a fairly devastating... My goodness, I can't get the frog out of my throat. That was a very devastating drop from TA4Life. For only having Tech 1 land units, I think that was 2 Tech 2 mass extractors he dropped, and then killing off a whole bunch of stuff over here. It was a very nice push. We got Corsairs coming in, and we had another drop over here, although that one is not quite as successful due to the fact that Mr. Smith has T2 gunships on hand. And it looks like Navy is actually pretty even at the moment. TA only has Tech 1 over there. He does have a Tech 2 factory with which he is building subs, but they have not yet arrived on the scene. That is going to be something, if you can focus fire your frigates on the destroyers to push them back, you can use the subs to clean up the frigates quite easily. Mr. Smith is covering his Navy for all he's worth with all of those interceptors that he has. We're at 20 minutes. Nobody has hit Tech 3 air yet, which is honestly kind of surprising, but why when you can hold the map on interceptors? That is the problem in a 1 versus 1, is when you shift to T3 air, that means you've not been producing interceptors for quite some time, and you actually have to build up a critical mass of ASF in order to overcome the interceptors of the other player, because interceptors can actually deal with ASF to a certain point as long as they have mass equivalent numbers. And Navy is going to fall, I think. Those subs coming in to kill that cruiser and a destroyer and forcing the rest back. There is another destroyer on hand and some frigates, but they're a little too far away and in too few numbers to help. I'm curious to know. Let's see, TA4Life is currently a bit ahead. We've got Tech 3 air. That is a strap bomber. Almost all of his interceptors are out of fuel, but a strap bomber is going to wing its way across the map, and Tech 3 air is online for TA, but he does not have any ASF out yet. So he's going to have a very hard time catching up to that strap bomber. Unfortunately, oh, so much power. He already had RAS, though. So that is going to be... He is going to be able to salvage that situation pretty easily. He's going to have to watch his power output. That was a brilliant hit by Mr. Smith. I was just about to comment on how it's pretty much pointless to hit Tech 2 Mass Extractors with a Cyber Strat Bomber because it takes 2 passes to kill them, but look at the amount of destruction that he's causing. He's killed off all of that build power. He killed off 3, possibly 4. I think that was 4 Tech 2 power generators. TA was building them close together, so he was able to hit multiple power generators at once. Killed off all of the build power there, and just so much havoc. Killing off Tech 1 power generators and the Mass Extractor. The AoE on Cyber and Strat Bombers is genuinely scary. They are base wreckers to the max. And right now he's just continuing to circle around and kill things with impunity. Tech 1 anti-air going online for TA. Eventually that bomber will fall, but it's taking some time. Meanwhile, on the southern side, we have a pretty aggressive naval fight going. So many subs. If he can just focus fire the destroyers out of the picture. There we go. He's separated the frigates from the destroyers, and he's going to be able to do a lot of damage to those frigates with the destroyers not there able to protect them. And destroyers coming around the backside to try to wipe out some of that eco. That Strat Bomber has finally been killed. There was damage done to TA's eco, but not enough to put Mr. Smith decidedly in the lead. And these destroyers down here are going to be a bit bothersome. Mr. Smith losing some of his home mechs. He is building torpedo bombers to try and deal with these subs. Subs are being the bane of his existence at the moment. He needs to build mermaids. That's what he's not doing. I'm very surprised at this. If he would mix some freaking mermaids in with his Salems, he would be able to take advantage of that amazing torpedo defense that they have, and it would go a long ways towards rectifying this situation against all those subs. But instead he's strictly building Salems, and that is not the optimal solution for going up against hardcore T2 sub spam. And cruisers are going to be able to mop up those torpedo bombers with the help of a few interceptors. Mr. Smith has such great air control right now. I think most of that is due to the fact that he put TA way behind on air production due to killing off that power. He's just not able to produce that many ASF. Mr. Smith currently sitting on 3 ASF and a pretty good swarm of interceptors, and he is producing torpedo bombers like a madman, trying to come back up from behind in this naval fight. He was able to get 4 Salems up here to the northern side. TA's got T3 power generators coming back online and doing a lot of reclaim, but these Salems are going to throw a wrench in the works for sure. He's lost 5 mass extractors here, and they are coming in to wreak a little havoc on these anti-air emplacements, his build power, etc., etc. Poor little subs are firing into this bank right here. Salems are able to get up and out of reach of the torps momentarily, but the subs are going to swing around the other side and be able to kill them off. Still having issues down here. Mr. Smith swapping up to whalers to try and deal with that cruiser. And this little cheeky bastard here is going to come right across, reclaim that radar, and then reclaim an engineer. That little engineer is on a personal vendetta. I believe we have met Rambo, and his name is Tech 1 Engineer. And Corsairs coming in to try to mop up. TA4Life does have plenty of ASF now, but they are separated into 2 groups. And a little bit of regrouping, some help from a cruiser, and I think that he is actually going to be able to take air control right now if he is careful about it. Don't screw up your micro. Don't take stupid chances. And that is it. TA4Life is back in control of air finally after a very, very long and terror-ridden period of strat bomber dominance and torpedo bombers everywhere. Is finally able to pull some denial and immediately flies his ASF directly into 2 SAMs. Why are you doing this to yourself, TA? Pull back. Thank you. And it looks like he is doing a whole lot of damage to this island down here. Had a cruiser and a destroyer working on it. Starting to tip the map control back in his direction again decisively. Although both players are down around the same eco level due to raiding on each other's home bases. So many shields. He was building shields against those 4 Salems that were here a little bit earlier. He does not want to lose his power again, and I really don't blame him for that. Losing your power is no fun for anyone. And Corsairs coming in. Let's see, talking about reclaim, TA4Life has a whopping 55,000 as opposed to Mr. Smith's 20,000. I think that may be the game deciding factor right there. Looks like both players are using all of the mass that they have at their disposal. You can see these huge numbers of engineers out in the water for TA4Life mopping up all of the reclaim. Although the oceans do look fairly clean, there's a large number right here from the last naval engagement that Mr. Smith really needs to get out and suck that up, but not doing so for some reason. Alright, Mr. Smith pushing back up to the north with those Salems versus 2 cruisers. I think he's going to get that in pretty easily, as long as nothing stupid happens with the targeting. And then he is building a disproportionate number of cruisers to try and get rid of this air superiority Corsairs on the southern side, trying to deal with that cruiser, and overall just trying to do damage control. TA4Life pushed him right to the brink there, but he was able to survive. Maybe if he can get some of this reclaim up, that can put him back in the game. He does have a squad of engineers reclaiming, but he needs more. He needs that mass quickly. TA does not look like he has any grandiose plans. He did lose his mass extractors again, but he is rebuilding those. Nothing exceptional that I see. No T3 tech other than the air and the power generators. No Tech 3 Naval on the way for either player. Looks like strictly Tech 2 spam at the moment. And Corsairs for TA, Tort Bombers for Mr. Smith. Although those Corsairs, I think, are the more appropriate choice at the moment, due to the fact that they are absolutely demolishing this base down here. That is going to put Mr. Smith even more in a hard place eco-wise. Although he still has a little bit more than TA4Life. He was able to take out this center here. He must have done some serious upgrading in his base. Sitting on 3 Tech 3 power generators, full air production. He is getting Tech 3 mass extractor upgrades at the moment. Does not have all of his stuff capped. Needs to cap that. I'm surprised not to see better eco management, honestly. Although this map does get very, very hectic and very, very busy. I've played on it a couple of times in 1 versus 1 situations, and I forget stuff because the map is so big and you're focusing on so many different areas at once. It is just hard to keep track of everything. It's like playing a 1 versus 1 on Sentence, but worse, because you don't even have a land choke and 1 land mass to focus on. You've got 2 or 3 separate land masses, and Navy can completely surround you. It's just a really hard situation to deal with. Alright. Alrighty, pushing back and forth, but it looks like TA4Life is slowly but surely gaining the upper hand. We've got on the southern island here. My goodness, I can't win for losing here. Every time I try to speed up, there's an air battle and my frame rate drops out completely. Mr. Smith is finally going to get air control back from TA. I think it's been about 15 minutes since he saw air control. And then he is going to lose his island over here, though. That is a hard hit to take. Maybe he can deny a bit of TA4Life stuff on this island. He is killing off some stuff. So many engineers for TA. Reclaim mastery right there. And yet more Corsairs. We have seen so many Tech 2 bombers this game. I know that Corsairs are probably the best Tech 2 bomber. Maybe not damage-wise. I think the Natha actually has slightly higher damage, but the method of fire for the Corsair is just so good. I can understand using them as opposed to the weaker strat bombers. This is actually looking like a naval win for Mr. Smith. I've been trying to decide whether or not TA4Life has enough subs to deny, and I don't think that he does. Mr. Smith has jumped in. I think it's a bad targeting choice, though, to try and kill off this factory. He lost a large portion of his navy due to the fact that he was focus firing this Tech 2 naval factory, and I don't think he's even going to kill it. That was a terrible mistake right there. If he had focused on killing off the enemy navy, I think he actually would have won that engagement, possibly gotten complete naval control. But instead, since he was focus firing the HQ and wasting all of his damage on that these engineers were immediately healing, he lost his entire navy. That is sad to watch. I thought that we might have seen a comeback right there, but was just kind of thrown away. I'm going to lose some build power up here, but torp bombers are going to take care of that pretty immediately. It was an attempted little drop there, but that didn't go anywhere. Whaler was on the case. Alrighty. Pushing back and forth and back and forth. TA4Life has 87,000 versus 49,000 reclaim for Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith has done a good job of coming back and reclaiming this stuff, but he is pretty late on it. And still very slightly maintaining air. Those whalers are going to come up here and try to wreck this base here. That is going to do a world of good for Mr. Smith's stance on map control. This is actually looking like a bit of a turnaround for Mr. Smith. The air control has helped him out greatly. He is killing off TA's expansions, and after killing off all of this build power up here in the Navy, even though he did lose out on completely killing Navy, that did allow him some leeway to get some combat units up. You can see TA is preemptively building a second T2 naval headquarters so that if he loses one, he will not lose all of his Tech 2 production capabilities. Subs coming in. There are only sirens. That is not good versus subs. They have no torpedo defense and no torpedoes. Those broadswords that are just sitting still, I would have assigned them to come down here and clean up the rest of these engineers. These engineers are just merrily reclaiming away, pulling in even more income for TA. Just not the best of choices there. When you have gunships sitting idle, they might as well be killing something. Looks like they are finally going to head back south and take care of the situation. Salem has decided he doesn't like the water. He is going to get up on land and try to kill off all of these pesky little engineers, but I think it's going to get swarmed by Mantis and Medusas. Definitely picking up some vet though. That thing has 60 kills. When was the last time you saw 60 kills on a Salem? 63. Looks like Mr. Smith has lost his momentum on... Yeah. Navy is about to fall back into the hands of TA. Medusa's keeping that Salem stunned off and on, and the Mantis pouring on the damage. Might make it to 75 kills. I don't think it's going to make it to 100 though. Whaler is going to kill that destroyer down there and save a little bit of trouble for Mr. Smith. The actual map controlled by TA is under 50%, but you can see TA is just way more efficient getting his engineer drops off in reclaim, in expansions, all that good stuff. Mr. Smith even had a bunch of engineers right here, but he's not putting them ashore quickly. Those are on an attack move. And no, there they go. They're now headed in. TA just keeps getting reestablished on these islands and holding them away from Mr. Smith. Although I think Mr. Smith's at-home eco is finally starting to overpower the map control of TA4Life. You can see over here he does have double the income of TA. TA is maintaining his position pretty much strictly with reclaim. Mr. Smith has 60,000 reclaim. TA4Life has 110,000, almost twice as much, showing the importance of reclaim. You have to reclaim in a game like this. You have to. You cannot get away with being lackadaisical about your reclaim habits. That is quite the production facility for TA. It looks like he actually has more production and stuff focused on his expansion island than he does on his home island. I mean, he has his power over here, but as far as actual production power and all of that other good stuff, it appears that he has actually concentrated most of that on his expansion island. And this is a turning point, I think. We have a huge number of whalers, and there is no flak over here. There's a couple of SAMs pushing across, but as long as these whalers skirt the SAMs, this is going to be nasty. Oh, but the ASF are not guarding them. Get over there, now, now. Don't let those die. And flying them right over the SAMs. Not exactly the best of choices ever. Killing off the SAMs. Gonna have to go after the cruiser. Killing off the cruiser. So much damage in those whalers. And then now going after the Navy. Gonna kill off that Tech 2 naval headquarters, which doesn't really do them a whole lot of good considering that there's another one over there. And then start mopping up the build power. All of those frigates, though, that is a nasty amount of anti-air. Frigates in large numbers do have fantastic anti-air capabilities. Torpedo bombers shredding the subs on this side, and then a couple of destroyers and cruisers standing off over here. I think this may be the end of the naval reign of TA4Life. Those whalers are doing a fantastic job of cleaning up all of this crap. So much health on those things. Got 5,900 base health, it looks like. Several of them have vet, thanks to mopping up all of these engineers. And so much damage in a group like that. As long as you keep your ASF nearby to cover them, I think you are going to win that engagement. They are far better than restorers at pounding on the ground. And naval factories going down left and right. TA does not look like he has any more queued. And this island is gone, and this island is gone, and this island is gone, and TA4Life is now down to 79 mass income versus Mr. Smith at 314. Navy is gone. We've got movement into the base up here. TA4Life is going for the teleport upgrade, I would think. That looks like a chest upgrade. Probably going for a last-ditch telesnipe attempt. Mr. Smith has built a ludicrous amount of Tech 1 point defense to protect against just such an occurrence, and he is building a Soul Ripper that will most definitely end the game. Got a harm in the water over here that is slowly but surely eating away at all of these naval units. Mr. Smith asking about the upgrade. Mazer, how long do you need? TA calling the good game. Whalers moving in around the backside. I'm going to take out this headquarters, I am sure. And that is going to wrap it up. Very surprising turnaround. I am amazed that Mr. Smith was able to survive that. TA4Life had such overwhelming overwhelming map control for so long, and it just didn't play out for him. Mr. Smith was able to upgrade at home, keep an eco balance, and win despite TA4Life having so much reclaim. That is a very surprising turnaround. I am actually amazed at how that turned out. Alrighty guys, that is game number 3. Got 2 more to go. I will see you momentarily.